Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Favorite Bands A to Z. Of course, today we are on the letter E, all right, which comes after D. Yesterday was fairly predictable. I'm sure most people, I think, had a pretty good idea of who I was going to pick as my number one. A lot of you chose my number two, my runner-up as well. Some of you had a couple other bands which were being considered, but, you know, it was always going to be Deep Purple and Dream Theater for me. Dio was a close third, actually, and then the Doobie Brothers probably right after that. But today, again, my main pick, I think, was pretty easy for me to decide. The runner-up was a little trickier, and I actually went back and forth on the runner-up, and I just changed my mind once again, like 5 minutes ago. So, and I'm probably going to tell you who the one that kind of got tossed around. So, you know, really no surprise if you've been following this channel and you know kind of what I really like and what I've, you know, liked since I was a kid. For me, my favorite band, start with the letter E, is the Electric Light Orchestra, otherwise known as ELO, Out of the Blue. All right, this is the first album I ever bought from ELO, and I still love it to this day. And I've had a pretty much a lifelong love affair with this band. So even when I was listening to Kiss back when I was, 10, 11 years old, I actually stumbled upon this album and this band right around the time where it came out. So this came out in 77. I bought this, so I was 11 years old. I bought this right after it came out. I just happened to be in J&R Music World in New York City with my dad and my brother. It was one of those, my dad worked in New York City. He worked at the municipal building right there, right there in, not quite, it was more downtown, just on the verge of Chinatown, right by across the street from City Hall, actually, in New York City. He worked there for 29 years. And in the summertime, we used to go occasionally while my brother and I were off from school, we would go in like maybe once a month or so. We would go in to the office with my father, go on the train with him. It was kind of a big deal. Take the train with Dad, go into the office. We would kind of, they had like a kind of like a break room. We would kind of, my brother and I would keep ourselves busy, reading, playing a game, doing whatever, and then, Dad would take us out to lunch. He'd take like a long lunch, and he would take us out to usually Chinatown to have Chinese food, and then I was just starting to get into music big time right then, so he would take us to J&R Music World, which was right down the street from the office, and there, all these records, and that's where I would go and spend my my allowance money buying Kiss records or whatever, or, if something new came out that I heard about, I would give my father whatever little money I had, and he would, go down and pick up something for me. But this particular day, one of these trips, I happened to be browsing through the racks, and I saw the big LP of this, and I was like, I love spaceships, and this just looks so cool, and I think the double album, I think at the time, was like $7.99, so I went and I had that, or maybe I didn't have it quite all, but Dad put in the rest, and I was just absolutely amazed to go home, open up that big, LP and the fold-out poster, and just fell in love with it. So yeah, I've always loved the music of this band. They kind of mix, of course, like Beatles style pop, power pop, classical music, film score, prog. I mean, they kind of did it all. Very wonderful vocal harmonies. There's so many great songs on here. Also at this time period, starting to incorporate a little bit of, the disco was just getting big in 1977. So a lot of those strings and those kind of dance beats and things like that, but still very much a rock and pop band, right? But, Turn to Stone, It's Over, Sweet Talking Woman, man, Night in the City, Jungle, Standing in the Rain, Mr. Blue Sky, Sweet as the Night, The Whale. I mean, so many great songs on here. I love it to death. So that is my my pick for E and my favorite album from this particular band. Runner-up was not so easy. So I had really, there were a couple bands that were in the running here. I'll tell you which ones they were. Europe. Actually, until about 5 minutes ago, Europe was going to be my number two choice. I know some of you are probably thinking, Europe! Oh, Final Countdown, Carrie, blah, I hate that band, whatever. Guys, most people who say that have not heard anything Europe has done in 25 years. Europe are a terrific heavy rock band who, if you love classic stuff like Deep Purple, UFO, even a little Black Sabbath and Zeppelin and Rainbow, I mean, all of Europe's stuff, with the exception of like 2 albums that they did in the 80s, are very much along that line. All right, so I think all of you who always put down Europe, all you've ever heard is either that album or just those 2 songs. It's not representative of everything else they've done. So Europe was going to be, I love Europe, I really do. Exodus were in the running. Eloy were in the running. Shit, I was even considering the Eagles. But when it came right down to it, I switched from Europe at the last minute and decided to go with Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And, brain salad surgery. I go back and forth all the time on my favorite ELP albums. There are I wouldn't say most days. There are some days I go with brain salad surgery. I'm going to go with that today. There are some days I pick the debut, the self-titled debut, which I love. There are some days I pick Tarkus. There are some days I like Trilogy. All right? Great out, all of them great albums. Today I'm going to go Brain Salad Surgery just because, Jerusalem, Toccata, Still You Turn Me On, forget Benny the Bouncer, I despise that song. And then the whole Carnival 9 suite, just legendary. But the last couple of days I've been listening to Europe, listening to ELP, and then listening to a little bit more ELP, and I'm like, oh, man. I decided to go with ELP. And you know what kind of really put me over? What really put me over is I've been listening to this quite a bit lately. Thank you, Anthony. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Transmission Impossible. This is this cool little triple, it's not little, it's pretty big. It's a triple disc set. Legendary radio broadcast from the 70s, three disc sets. So you've got a live FM broadcast from the Hollywood Bowl, 1971, Los Angeles, California. You got a live FM broadcast from the Philip Shale, Dusseldorf, 1971, June 1971, and then you got some stuff from the Velodrome in Milan, Italy, and the Studio Flaminio in Rome, Italy from 1973. So lots of really cool archival live stuff in this set. Great performances. And I've been listening to this a lot lately, and I was like, and I think that's what ultimately put me over the top. I was like, you know what? I love Europe to death. I almost have to go with ELP here. So there you have it. E is all about ELO for me, and right behind my runner-up is Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I know for many you might even switch these, and that's totally cool. I love ELP, but ELO for me is like an all-time favorite band. They always have been. So yeah. There you have it. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Put your favorite bands for the letter E down in the comments below. Your favorite band and your runner-up and your favorite album from each. Tomorrow we got F. F was another kind of tough one. F was never a clear-cut winner for me. So, kind of interesting how it all played out. I'm still not 100% sure of my ranking yet. So we'll see. We'll see. But stay tuned tomorrow for that, and all sorts of stuff happening over the weekend. So you don't want to miss any of it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.